Hey guys, Deathletter Magic here, and it's been a couple days since the launch of the Mystery Booster that feels like we heard about a million years ago. But yeah, finally it's here, and everybody knows that the EV calculations, the expected value of one box, one pack, however you want to phrase it, looked pretty darn good. I think between like the guaranteed rares and the foils and all that, you add it all up, it was worth like some absurd like 200 to 400 a box. But we all knew that that wasn't sustainable considering it's pretty much the normal price for a normal booster box product shifted to 24 packs. So I'm getting word from all around places that it's selling for 100 to like 140 US dollars. That is normal booster box price, but per booster, obviously, it's roughly 50% higher. But just the actual price is a pretty reasonable price, you know, compared to $250 a box for some Mythic Edition nonsense, or $350 a box for Ultimate Masters if you even got it that cheap. I mean, as good of values as those were, not everybody has that just laying around is willing to spend it, you know, so this kind of went the other way with it. It's like, yeah, you don't get many per box and it's not a very good price per booster, I guess, but it's still kind of a good value, and then, well, it's just like $100. Unfortunately, I also am getting word that it is selling fast. I mean, you got the Commander people going nuts over this. You got collectors going nuts over it. You've got even modern people trying to trade with each other for some good staples, some good upgrades. But because it sold out so quickly and the singles are now somewhat hitting the market in certain percentages very, very quickly, we are seeing a very rapid drop in especially foil prices for the foil reprints. Now, I warn people that, you know, yeah, this $200, $300, $400 EV for a product that costs $100 doesn't look real sustainable. And yeah, some of the cards just pre-order, like the singles pre-order went from like $40 to like 20 to like 15 to 10 maybe. They're at like 5 now. I mean, some of these cards, they're expensive because they were a foil and they were only printed once. You mix those two together, it's going to be an absurdly optimistic price. Realistic, but optimistic considering there's about to be a reprint. And now that it's dropped, it is just not good. I mean, they have absolutely tanked. Now, I still feel like the box is going to be worth more than what you paid. I haven't reran the numbers because it's like 1,900 cards. But yeah, I mean, it still looks good. And well, because of that, it's pretty much sold out everywhere. Now, despite the really good prices at local gaming stores that everybody's reporting, if you go on eBay and try to buy these right now, oh boy, I mean, $155 if you're lucky. I think that's just, hey, residual good effective value. And the whole, wow, those disappeared quick. So people are willing to pay a little bit higher than normal because, you know, you might not get a second wave of this. Although, I mean, come on. There's a rumor already that Wizards is going to send this out in a second wave as quickly as possible. So as far as the opening experience and people's reaction to this, a little bit mixed. I mean, people love pulling bombs, and if you open enough, you'll get them. But it seems to be like a search for the Mana Crypt. I mean, that's the big bomb card. I mean, the contribution of Mana Crypt to the value of an average box is very significant. I believe it's like double digits, like $10+. But I think you only pull one in every 4 or 5 boxes or something, but I've heard of people pulling one every other. And I mean, you pull one, you just paid for the whole box and change. So a lot of people are, you know, picking up a small amount and getting whiffed hard. I mean, hard on this stuff. Like they're paying, you know, for something a booster in theory and just getting zeros dropped on them. And other people are buying like one pack and opening a $50 card. But yeah, a lot of the mid-high and kind of high stuff are now absolutely tanked down to a couple bucks. They selected some cards that, on one hand, yes, really required a reprint because there's so few to go around. But then a lot of them they threw into the foil spot. And then they printed quite a few of these and made an unusual structure inside the boosters. So you add all that together, it's like, yeah, we needed them. But I mean, that's a good setup for a crash. But that's why these look like they were worth $400, you know, the day before they were opened. Also, the only other major negative is people who just straight up forgot that there was a WPN version or like a store retail version, and then there's the tournament version, the Magic Fest version. And the Magic Fest ones that went out had those funny like test print, you know, cards that would never be real cards, black and white hand drawn. You guys remember those? People kind of associated those in their head. And since it's been so darn long, they forgot that they aren't in here and they were like a little bit disappointed. But for both of those slight negative experiences that some people had, it comes down to should have known better and should have known better. So, hey, not a lot of sympathy to those people, but whatever. Well, in fact, I'd add a third should have known better. So the main downsides are the falling values, the absolute ridiculous variance of what you pull, and the fact that they don't come with the funny test print cards. Like, that you should have known that all three of those were coming and known that ahead of time. Especially the price drop, which I didn't even predict. I didn't even say it's a maybe. I straight up said that is going to happen and warned you guys like weeks ago. So if you watch my channel, you were probably properly educated on that. So I have heard fantastic things from people drafting with them. That's just an absolute riot. And that's what it was designed for. So they have nailed it. They have made a valuable, draftable product that's really fun to draft and also has good value in it. That said, I don't want to praise it too hard because this could have been an actual master set. It's pretty much, what do they call it? Repack Masters? I believe Bulk Masters was what people were nicknaming it. In my opinion, it pretty much is a Masters product, but with 1800, it's not like a true restock, and they did some weird things with what they selected, and, there's no really heavily needed, large quantities of modern reprints. And if they are in there, they're not in reliable numbers, like I said. So it's not quite a master set, which is exactly what we need right now from a card supply standpoint. Stuff's getting crazy out there. Them prices, if you want to get into modern, I'm sorry, but that just ain't going to happen unless you're rich as hell. And worse yet, if you spend the money, you're going to see a pretty good price drop as soon as they do finally do something about this reprint issue and do a giant reprint set. They'll either change the policy on how they design Modern Horizons and make it into Modern Masters, or they'll just bring back Modern Masters. I just can't see them doing anything other than that. But this is Wizards. They're stupid as hell, and they take 6 years to address the average thing. So, who knows? So that's it for the Mystery Booster. Just wanted to give a quick review, the state of things, what I'm hearing, what the community reaction was, just a little bit of post-game report here. But now let's talk about the second topic on my channel, the coronavirus, apparently. Holy crap, just in 24 hours, shit getting crazy. I'm seeing restaurants just outright close. I'm seeing bowling alleys close, theaters close, people announcing 2-week, 3-week, 4-week closures, just every business, and they're all, trying to keep it real, keep it cool, be like, yeah, we got a little bit of money buffer, the owner's, just gonna go without pay for a little bit, and we're gonna keep paying the employees. In fact, one of my Pokemon Go homies works at a casino, and he said they're just straight up closing the casino for 2 weeks, which, that's astonishing. They could have 10% of people walk in the door and still make a profit. But he had said that there were some rumblings and complaints from the staff, especially the dealers. I told him, why didn't they just close table games? Get rid of the drink waitresses, make people go get their own shit, and, there you go. It's just people interacting with machines at that point. But no, they're laying him every off, but he's, amped about it because they're paying all the security staff, dealers, all the staff. Anybody getting laid off, well, they're not really laying them off. They're just temporarily, whatever you want to calling it. But yeah, they're all getting paid for that entire time. So it's just a paid vacation. Now, this is going to be a little controversial here, but a vacation where you absolutely cannot go anywhere, in my opinion, isn't that bad. I'm not that big into travel. I know people are like, oh man, paid vacation, I can't, fly out to Miami. But just chill, watch movies, maybe get to I was going to say home repairs and starting gardening, but you have to go places for that. Some of the shops might still be open though. But it's getting to the point, literally just in the last 48 hours where I'm thinking we might see grocery stores close. They know they should stay open, but right now I've seen restricted hours on the 24-hour ones. Things are gonna get crazy if people who didn't stock up on food can't get food, and people who did stock up on food pretty much wiped out the grocery stores, I guess. I haven't actually been to the ones in my area, so I'm not sure if it's as bad as the pictures I've seen. But I gotta say, what is really nice is that if your local gaming store has to close because, hey, it's people, kind of long-term events, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Magic, they're all multi-hour tournaments usually, and they're very cramped, very close to each other, and they're not equipped to have, a full professional cleaning staff sweeping every hour, you know what I mean? So I expect to see that. I expect to hear about that. I think people are just going there and not playing, which I think, if you get 10, 20, 30 people in the door a day, maybe even 50, 1 or 2 at a time, that's not that dangerous. Keep it going. In fact, my work, we probably get 10 to 20 people per day, and that's it. And there's only 3 of us working there. So we have absolutely no plans to close just because that volume is... The paycheck and the service and the money are more important than that tiny little safety risk. But yeah, if LGS has had to close for a couple weeks, I honestly think that every week it's going to get worse. So to close now and be like, oh, we're getting ahead of it, kind of. Oh, there's 2, 3, 4 cases in my area. It's going to be 100 next week. It's going to be 1,000 the week after that, if Italy's anything to go by. I mean, if nobody's leaving their house, we're probably going to slow it down pretty good. But let's just say that it'll be a couple week closure and then everything kind of blows over, which is very unlikely. Then at least they made a bunch of money on these mystery boosters. That is wonderful timing, and I would definitely applaud Wizards for not, like, somehow just saying, oh, we're not going to ship out the mystery boosters because we don't want stores to have people in. We suggest you all close. Ha ha, have fun. They're just like, no, we're sending it out anyway. You can sit on it if you want and close, but, like, make money on this and then close, you know? So if your store has pocketed, like, several grand, possibly upwards of, like, $10,000 on a product this hot, if they got enough of it, that makes it a lot more realistic to close for a couple weeks. In fact, this may have single-handedly let some stores close for a couple weeks. So that's absolutely wonderful that it worked out that way. But a couple other things to mention. I really don't think this is going to get better in a couple weeks. I think it's going to get worse, and they're just getting ahead of it. And as people just don't make money for week after week after week after week, they're going to have to stop paying employees because their income is zero. Very few businesses have that kind of money sitting around to pay staff that aren't working and aren't making any money. And a lot of the ones that are, a little bit closer, they don't have a big cash reserve. They're just like going to delivery only. They're like closing, like restaurants are closing dining rooms, like fast food, but they're leaving the drive-thru open because then you got, 2 people in the kitchen working. That's it. That's pretty safe. And they're just like, whatever, tiny safety risk with a minimal amount of people, minimal amount of interaction close to people. But like, we got to keep operating at a basic level, even if we get 1/3 of business, because at least that's enough to break even and pay the staff and keep them working, keep them getting a paycheck. So if you're on the fence and you're running a local gaming store, I would just say put up a sign on the door that says, we're cleaning excessively and we're closing the play area, but we're still open. And honestly, if people are stuck home and they're just like, let's get out and just get some stuff to do, like we're sick of watching streaming stuff, board games, man. And I know that some stores are aggressively marketing it via Facebook and email. They're like, hey, are you stuck at home? Try Settlers of Catan. Do you absolutely hate your family with a burning passion? Monopoly. So, I mean, very lucrative time. I will say, where I work, it's subtle, but there's a little bit of a boost we're seeing in the last couple days from people having to stay home. They're buying more of our products, which is nice, and services. So, I mean, that's good for us. Even if it dries up and just nobody leaves their house in 2-3 weeks, at least we've got a cash buffer, and they know they don't have to pay me because they know where my money comes from. But I will say, I really, really, really hope that the supplies keep coming to grocery stores and grocery stores stay open, because even if people bought 2-3 weeks worth of food, I don't think people have as much food as I do, which is like half a year to a year worth. So, I mean, let's just say if they have to stay closed due to business disruptions, inability for staff to come into work, or a refusal of staff to come in and deal with thousands of people, which is just what a city has to run through a grocery store. It is what it is. And they probably don't have the staff to do delivery only. Maybe. I mean, I did the math. It's possible, but it's not, it would be tight. But if the resupply trucks stop showing up, which is unlikely, I mean, distribution places aren't that staffed and truck drivers are literally by themselves. People running out of food, like, I don't know if you've seen, like, in war zones and, like, other natural disaster, it gets real ugly real quick. It's not like, well, I'm going to not break the law and sit home and starve with my family. They're just going to start breaking into houses and looting stuff and shooting people. Which I will say, my very prepper but also ironically very anti-gun parents have already asked me if they could borrow a firearm from me or two. And so has my, I'd say more recently pro-gun but formerly anti-gun sister-in-law and my brother. And speaking of that, Saturday morning I was at the local hardware store that sells a buttload of guns and ammo. And I mean, it was normally stocked. I mean, they got ammo supply issues for the last, 5 years. I think they just don't have a very good shipping system or something. I mean, it is hazard shipping, so that might just be how it is. But, yeah, the shelves were stocked. I mean, there was full boxes of everything. I had trouble finding one exact type of 9mm, but I just walked out with a brand that I don't normally shoot. Like, it was there. I walked in today because I just bought a brand new 30-30 lever action frickin' Winchester, guys. Under $400. It was in the low threes. Damn, did I get a deal on that thing. I have wanted a lever action 30-30 for so damn long. And then, dude, check this out. Winchester 1300, $225. I mean, look that shit up. I got a deal on that. And I'm sitting on 3,000 to 4,000 rounds between all my guns. Mostly 22, But I got a couple hundred rounds and shells for every gun. And that's like as of 2 years ago. Like that ain't no recent purchase. But damn, I walked into the gun section. It was like Black Friday. Holy crap, it was like a grocery store the day before Thanksgiving with all my fellow irresponsible people trying to pull a recipe out of their ass at the last second. But yeah, I mean, everything in Wisconsin seemed to be delayed because, well, it hit the coast and the bigger cities, bigger states first. So I'm seeing all these pictures of lines of 50 people out in the gun store, and I'm like, I was the only one in the gun store when I was there. Ammo's just fine, groceries just fine. I mean, 2 weeks ago, Saturday, I bought a full 52-ounce hand sanitizer. It was on sale, $10. Then all of a sudden, no, there goes the toilet paper and the ammo and the food and the people and the work and the restaurants. It's like all at once. But if you think about it, like trying to think of it as, whoa, this is a drastic change. It's getting serious. Oh my gosh. Oh, panic. I'm so depressed and anxiety. Rawr. I like to think of it as like good. People are actually taking this seriously for once and trying to do something to spread it instead of ignoring it, except for some dumbasses on spring break. So as far as the outlook on this, we have two completely opposite things to look at. One, in Japan, allegedly, I haven't been able to verify this, people who have tested positive before and have been good for like a couple weeks caught it again. That's impossible, which means that it has mutated to the point where people who are immune can catch a slightly different version of it, which is how the flu's been working for decades. Or, well, centuries, probably millennia. I'm not sure. The flu's very old. It mutates enough that it never goes away. Some viruses just burn out. Everybody catches it and then that's it. It can't mutate to the point where the human body can't recognize it. It can't change whatever protein structure the antibodies are targeting. If that is true, everybody's going to be immune to corona in a couple months. If it's not true, well, does the flu ever go away any season? Oh, and this virus operates outside of flu season, which is the winter, so it would be all year round. Also, it spreads faster, and also 15% of people need breathing assistance every time they get it. That's not a very durable solution to try to live under for the next 10 years. So hopefully those reports are just wrong, people are misdiagnosed, or they're just made up, I don't know. But see, then let's take theory where, oh my gosh, it's hit an infection volume where just the sheer number of viruses that exist and then the X% chance of it mutating, well, you do the math. It's going to mutate, just like the flu. Enough people catch the flu that it replicates several trillion times. And then, oh, here's the one mutagenic one, and now here we go again. You got that versus what we're actually seeing in China, which is numbers go down. Everyone's had it, or they're avoiding each other to the point where the infection just can't transmit exponentially, or they're flattening the curve, as they say. But, I mean, with their government level of control, I haven't really heard how much they're, like, forcing people to stay home and what's closing and what's not. I had heard that they're trying to keep everything open as much as they can and reopen factories a little bit early. So, if anything, America's taking more aggressive steps to, like, not spread it. So, if we follow the Chinese numbers, it won't be a big problem within a month or two. I can't figure out why that's happening in China. It doesn't make sense. But that's fine. That's what we're seeing. Hopefully it'll happen here too. So the temporary closures of everywhere might actually be temporary. Wizards may have been actually accurate, realistic, and correct in saying we're just going to delay the tournaments maybe a couple months. And like movies that are like, we'll just delay till like October, November, maybe they're correct and accurate. But I will say when the weather cools off and people kind of chill and start to come out of their house and go back to work because they have to or the society and economy will collapse, next winter might not be great. So I'm just telling you guys right now, seriously, if this appears to mostly stop being a problem over the summer, might want to quietly stock up on everything that's out right now. Long-term food, dry goods, rice, beans, canned goods, vegetables, whatever. Toilet paper, obviously. Guns, ammo, just whatever. Like if everything seems to be cool and everybody just kind of mentally goes back to the way things were, I think we might see a big resurgence of this if literally anything other than a vaccine going widespread happens. Because cold weather will accelerate the shit out of this, and here we go again. Also, I'd strongly recommend not making stupid, careless purchases in the next couple months and just hoard money because you might need it to buy more important shit. So, yeah, that's how things are going, vaguely related to the mystery boosters. Leave a big old thumbs up on the video if you appreciated either of the sets of information in this video, and I will see you guys next video. I said video a lot of times.